Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchuwant. Thanks for logging on. Today, we're looking at something of an under-the-radar Panerai factory special. You're looking at the Panerai Luminor Marina, 8 days PAM 590, 44 millimeters in polished stainless steel. This watch was one of the hits of the Panerai Salon International stand in 2014. Still as rare as hen's teeth and only now beginning to filter into boutiques, this North America-only model is something like a PAM 203 for the real world. Very limited in its availability. Only 1,000 were built in all of 2014, and not all 1,000 of them have found their way to buyers. They're still in the pipeline, still finding their ways to dealers at this point. This was one of the most celebrated, one of the most directly and authentically heritage-inspired watches to come out of Panerai, I would say, in the last half-decade. Combines the look of the legendary 1950s 6152/1 with the iconic 44mm Panerai Alessandro Betterini case that launched the Panerai civilian legend in 1993. It's a beautiful crossbreed of Panerai's best heritage elements with its modern classics. And with this gorgeous deference to history on so many levels, I've got to add that the watch looks and feels a treat on the wrist. Let's get into the fit, the finish, and what makes this PAM 590 special. Now, first and foremost, you can see on the lugs that classic Betterini can profile, almost a cushion case. That's really the shape that launched Panerai in the early 1990s. This was one of the first modern oversized sports watches. Back when 40 to 42 was considered big, this shape was considered huge. Right out of the gate, a lot of people were afraid to touch it because it was so avant-garde, and it wasn't until 1995 with Sylvester Stallone's adoption of the shape and his hundreds and hundreds of custom orders, the watches he gave out to friends in high places, the unsponsored celebrity and VIP adoption of the type, that Panerai really began to take off. So it's got an authentic, organic kind of modern creation story. But the watch goes further back than that. The 590, which, as you can see on my wrist, is the model of legibility, stems from a distinguished line of Panerai tool watches, not so much the Decima Flotilla combat watches of the 1940s. This watch hails back to the early NATO era, from 1950 on, when Panerai began to reconsider and remodel its fabled dive watches to keep up with modern trends, to be more robust, more usable, and more advanced. So this 1950s style features what's known as the 6152 case form, fully integrated lugs with that now iconic device protecting the crown crescent. The real heart and soul of the 590 lies within the dial, where you see what's known today as the Marina layout, and the 8 giorni brevettato at 3 o'clock right next to the crown guard, as well as the small seconds at 9 o'clock, and what's known as a dirty dial simulated radium patina with numerals, indices, and hands treated with a ecru-colored superluminova luminant that recreates the warmth and the charm of an aged Luminor dial Panerai 1950s dive watch. The bottom line is that this look supplanted the 1930s and 1940s Panerai dive watch styles made in what was known as the 3646 case, and this became the look that we associate today with the Luminor. Luminor was originally a paint. Luminor was what replaced Radiomir, a beta emitter compared to Radiomir's gamma emitter. It was the watch that was featured on the Big and the Little Giziano, as well as the famed 8-day movements housing the Angelus SF240, and therein lies the reference to the 8 giorni brevettato. During the 1930s and 40s, Panerai found that you had to wind the Rolex caliber 618 pocket watch movements in their first dive watches every day, so often in fact that they were wearing through the crown seals and compromising the watertight integrity of the watch. The solution was to find a robust movement, in this case the Angelus SF240 desk clock movement, that would allow the watch to be wound no more than once a week, maintain time, and limit the wear on the crown seals. And therein lies the genesis of that little signature 8 giorni. Now, it's something of a rarity on modern Panerai watches. If we take the vintage 6152s out of the equation, only a couple of modern references, the 339 composite, the 341 Giziano, and the famed Angelus movement PAM 203 also featured this signature, but those watches are few and far between. Rare like this one. It's a look you don't get even on every Panerai, and that's significant because with Panerai it's often said if you've seen one, you've seen them all. When you're looking at the Brevettato dials, that's not the case. This is a unique look, and in a lot of ways, as I mentioned earlier, it is a PAM 203 for the real world. The 203, of which only 150 were made in 2005, is something that basically sits in collections and rarely hits the market. It's the kind of thing that often costs deep into 5 figures, sometimes touching 6. So to have an opportunity to get the same look, the style, the attitude, and the historical connections of the 203 in a watch that's accessible now, newly manufactured with all original factory boxes, papers, technical manuals, and accessories, that's a rare opportunity and an extraordinary one for hardcore dyed-in-the-wool Paneristi. Now, the historical references of this watch go beyond the Marina subdial at 9 o'clock, the Otto Giorni signature, that dirty dial simulated Luminor patina look. They continue on the case back, where you'll see the famed Soloro Lanto Corsa. Now, this is an enduring symbol of Italian combat swimmers. Harks back to their heyday during the 1940s when they rode manned torpedoes into harbors to attack enemy warships. The prototype, really, of modern tactical combat swimmers, everything from the French Nageur de Combat to the U.S. Navy SEALs and the UDT that preceded them. The Decima Flotilla and the Italian combat swimmers were the ones who really launched the idea of a David and Goliath nocturnal submarine stealth blow that could disable a vastly superior foe using a combination of advanced tactics and immense courage. And so the Soloro Lanto Corsa, the torpedo that they rode, is immortalized on select Panerai references, including this PAM 590. It also has a true historical look brought about by the use of the minimally treated leather of the Assolutamente strap, true to the combat originals, which were essentially untreated leather with wax plastered over them to add watertight integrity of a sort. You see, there's also a small amount of deliberate aging of the leather here, with all the natural texture of the animal hide and a unique ecru colored stitch and aged thread that matches the dirty dial treatment of this watch. A gorgeous polished case, bezel, case flanks, case top, and lugs. It's a beautiful crossroads of history and modern luxury refinement. Again, 300-meter water resistant with Panerai's in-house caliber 5000 2-barrel 8-day movement. It combines all of the functionality of the original Panerai dive watches right down to the 8-day power reserve with the reliability, durability, versatility, the fit, the finish, and the quality that you expect from a modern luxury product. And if all that sounds good to you, I have a feeling this Panerai Luminor Marina 8 days PAM 590 historic tribute just may be the watch you want.